We go. Good morning, everyone. Suzanne Taylor, life coach here with another amazing coffee chat with my dear friend, the Wingman, Micheal Gross. And today we're going to dive into what he does, who he is, and the amazing work that he's putting out there in the world with a new book. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. Welcome, Micheal.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. As always, I can't wait. I love speaking with you. We talk all the time, of course, and I always think good things come from it. So I look forward to our conversation today. And of course, your listeners, hopefully they will get something as well.
Yeah,
I
well,
can't
how can
imagine they
they
won't.
not? How can they
How
not?
can they not? Yeah,
How
I
can
agree
they
with you.
not? Um,
Thank you.
and I really want to say thank you. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm beaming with happiness for you on your journey. And I can truly say I have never felt such joy in my heart watching your journey. I feel privileged to
Thank you.
know you, be in your circle, have you in my circle of people. Um, just really fortunate. I don't know how we met or how we got connected, but I'm really happy that I took the chance on reaching out to you and that you were receptive. And I just think you're the bomb. So really excited to dive into this conversation today.
The feeling is mutual. As one of the things I often say is after you and I started speaking a little bit, I think was when I really, of course I went away at that point,
Hmm.
which was actually a year ago. We were in Vietnam, and that's when really the whole book got put together. But it was really, you gave me a lot of inspiration and motivation to just do it,
Mm.
to quit messing around, and the time really was perfect for me. So I thank you for that. Are you kidding? Yeah, I'm thrilled to
No,
speak with you.
thank you, because the motivation comes right back at me, and that's just,
Doesn't it though?
oh my God, I can't
I mean,
even. I
it's
can't
like
even.
one of the chapters in the book I talk about, where how can I help you is the
Hmm.
practice. How can I help you? And I sort of fall back on a quote from Zig Ziglar, who said, what did he say? You can have anything you want in the world if you help the other guy get what he wants.
Oh,
And isn't it just the exact same vibration? No, it's no different than the vibration. I always say, whatever your vibration leads the way. Whatever you're sending out, you're
hmm,
getting back. So when you're sending out something where you're thinking of helping another person, and your mind is just totally focused on helping them, it's not focused on your problems or your issues or your challenges, just helping them. The universe sends you back help for you, right? It's just,
oh, and
it's.
we're in a really unique time right now.
Mm,
This is being recorded during the time of coronavirus,
yes.
and I want to say that my clients right now are my only focus. So there's no focus on giving free content out there except my Friday coffee chats that we're doing.
Okay.
Um, I'm not focusing on, selling anything right now. Focused on serving the clients that I have in a bigger, even more compassionate way. And that alone has brought new clients to me even at this time. Right.
It's
So it's so true. And that's why I love everything that you talk about.
Thank you. Thanks, Suzanne. And I think the main thing I talk about is recognize what your vibration, what
Mm.
energy are you sending out. And before when people hear that, sometimes they're put off by that. But what I use an example of, if I'm talking to you and you're a single woman, who's gone on a date recently, the energy the guy was putting out. Was he sending out a vibration of confidence, of desperation, of
Uh-huh.
being a good guy, of being a jerk? You feel that vibration. And of course, you and I know we're sending out our own vibration, and it's just,
Yeah.
it pays to pay attention to what you're sending out, what vibration you are sending out. And I think that's where I started with that. And I just started recognizing, and practicing what I wanted to send out instead.
Hmm.
And it seemed like it was easily duplicatable for others. And of course, I do that. I do my video for my Facebook group every morning live. And it's funny, Suzanne, because it's just what I'm practicing that day. Like, all right, what do I want to be
Yes.
sending out today? Like, oh, maybe I'm having a situation going on where I have to practice, or maybe I'm anxious and I have to practice bringing peace into this situation. Or maybe I don't know, I'm going on an interview. I don't know, whatever it is. Or I've been doing it's been a lot of fun time lately because I'm doing, because of the book, I'm being invited on podcasts and different things. And of course, that's been a fun time as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I really want to ask you a couple questions today that I think will help my tribe, my viewers, maybe even yours too. I don't know how many entrepreneurs you have in your tribe, but whoever this helps, your practice of, which I love, it's one of my favorites that I use quite often,
Okay.
is what would life be like if 1 million people benefited from my book or my program? Or what if one, not what if, when I help 1 million people, what will life be like? What will that feel like? And putting myself in that vibration, like this morning, I'm going to help 1 million people with this talk with Micheal today. How does that feel different than if 2 people are watching? It shouldn't. And I want your insight on that.
Well, it's funny you say that because I actually, I practice what I preach. That's what I do. I mean, so at one time, and I think it was after I was with some friends and we were talking about J.K. Rowling, or I was over in Scotland, actually. Janet and I were in Scotland, and of course she did a lot of film or inspiration came from these different places. And I saw she had sold 500 million books. And I started thinking,
Wow.
wait, what? Wait,
Wow.
what? 500 million. And somehow I said, wouldn't that be cool if I could just sell, such a small percentage of that, and I forget what percentage, but it ended up, whatever it was, somehow I rounded it off to 1 million books. And I said, wouldn't that be amazing? And so I said, well, you know what? Maybe I should practice the vibration of that. And so one of the things, I have a Wingman's Path daily planner that I do, I do as often as I can. I try and do it every morning, right? And one of the questions on the planner is, and by the way, if anyone wants it, you can just send me a message if you're on Facebook or an email.
We'll put the link in the comments to this
you can
video.
Send it,
we'll do that.
I'll send that out to you. One of the questions I have is, what is your long-term goal? What is your long-term goal? On different days, it's different things. Although for the last few months, it's sort of been the same thing, which is I want to help 1 million people. And so how do I practice that? So I said, I practice the vibration of selling 1 million books. And as I'm sitting where I'm sitting with you, I'm looking at, I keep looking up because I stand at a window when I do this practice and I just say, I sold 1 million books. Wow, that's like crazy. And I just stay in that vibration. Of course, I talk about just practicing it I'm getting chills as I say that to you because of how often I practice that. And when I talk about practicing it and practicing the vibration, I want to be very clear that I mean, you can actually see it, you think it, would you walk differently if you sold 1 million books? Would you talk differently?
Yes.
Would you be
yes.
like I know a lot of people who are very different from when they didn't have money to when they now have money. So would you be different, and how would you be different? And get that vibration going, right? Get the vibe going. And that's all I try and do for myself. And so it's funny you just mentioned if I could help 1 million people. So as I practice that vibration, seeing it, it becomes sort of like, oh, who am I to help them? You get into that. Who am I to help 1 million people? But then you say, but if my book, the simplicity of it and the help of it can really do that, wouldn't that be just such a wonderful thing to do and to have helped so many people? And of course, I practice the vibe. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And
it's rubbed off from, being around you and listening to your practices and sharing them, being exposed to you in person. And I want to say that alone has transformed things for me. It's kind of like when I used to be a little nervous with public speaking,
Okay.
like everybody. It's one of the biggest fears that comes up for
Okay.
people.
Right.
And
Right.
I always use the analogy that most people would rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy, right? Uh,
That's great. I never
yeah, isn't that
heard that.
great? You like that?
That's right. Yeah, I do. That's funny.
Um, so that's how paralyzing that fear of standing up
Yes.
in front of people and sharing your feelings or your vulnerabilities or whatever, right?
Yes,
And
that's one of the big fears.
getting past that for me, I knew I had to conquer that in order to show up how I wanted to be, like to become who I wanted to be. If I wanted to be a coach, I wanted to be a speaker, wanted to be a corporate trainer, I can't be afraid to stand in front of a group of executives and share my practices or my
Very
passion
true.
for what I have to teach, right?
Very
And
true.
one of the things that in the very, very beginning of me knowing who you were, um, I had my first paid speaking gig,
Oh, how exciting.
and it was very exciting until I got there. And I was full of confidence, and I was full of, just, oh my God, I'm getting paid finally to do something. And as I look back on that day, I chose my outfit, which was very bold. It was red pants. And, how many people wear red pants? Not a
Okay.
lot, right? And I really felt in my place to conquer this. And then
Okay.
I walked in and I saw the lineup of speakers, and everybody was a doctor except for me.
That can be intimidating.
Oh, and immediately my posture changed, my energy changed, and I went from being in my heart with this talk to right up here in my head, oh my God, I'm not good
Yeah.
enough, I'm not a doctor, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this. But oh, well, those people are doctors, but they're not what I have, right?
Absolutely.
So I went into the bathroom
Okay.
and I did a practice of yours. I am powerful beyond measure, something along those lines. And I
Okay.
stared at myself in the mirror and stood like this, and I stood like this, and I just, until I felt that vibration
That's
change
great.
in my body.
Fabulous. I love that. I
And
love that.
I walked out of the bathroom, and the person who came to the event with me was a massage therapist, and he came to do massage at this event.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
walked by him, and he said, "What did you just do? What did you do?
Because
Something's different."
he can feel the energy.
He and he's like, "Is your hair different? Like what?
That's
Lipstick? What?
funny.
What did you do?" And I said,
That's funny.
"Change the energy. That's it.
Change the energy. Isn't
Change the
that amazing?
energy."
And isn't that amazing that it's so easy to do? And what I have found, like when you were talking about the fear and people have, and of course, everyone has all different fears that
Yes.
they have to face. And um, what I find is fear is an emotion, like
Hmm.
any emotion. And the one thing the Wingman's Path has truly taught me is I can practice anything.
Yeah.
I can practice anything. It doesn't mean I'll succeed, but I know, like, there's been some practices that I've said for months, every morning for months, because I could not get them into my head. And I'd come home and
Hmm.
my wife would have like a sign on the door with with the saying in a red circle and a line through it. You're not allowed to
Uh-huh.
speak it in the house,
Ooh.
because I was so crazy with these sayings, with these different practices. But I think that's the game, to figure out how you can change the energy for you. For you,
Yeah.
like I'll give you an example, as you just mentioned that, and maybe this would be a good one. And I have it in the book, and it really came from, I was coaching Miss New Jersey as she was heading up to the Miss America contest. Right? How cool is that?
Wow.
The directors of Miss New Jersey called me and asked me to be her confidence coach, and just,
Amazing.
well, amazing. It was like the coolest thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
me, really? That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Right? And she was amazing. She was coaching me, I think, as we just were having conversation. And one of the things came out is the conversation about when you're about to, uh, your big moment. You're
Hmm.
talking about when you're about to step up on the stage. And so, we talked about how she's going to feel, and either we didn't really talk much about the whole bathing suit thing, but obviously you better have a lot of confidence you're doing that, right?
I
But we
started to
talked.
sweat a little bit just when you said that.
I can imagine. But we talked about the interview, and we talked about the moments before the interview, just like you just talked about the moments before you going up and making your speech and getting yourself ready. And she gave me a practice that I use all the time now, which is, others have done it, I can too.
Oh,
Right? You
yeah.
just feel the relaxing of that. It's
I
just
did. My whole person relaxed when you said that.
right. You don't have to fight what you're doing anymore. You just have to, oh, others have done it. Oh yeah, I can do it too then. And it just, so I find the vibration, you figure out the vibration you want to send out and just figure out the practice to do it. And I'm not saying it happens overnight by any stretch, and we both know it doesn't. But when you can, I find so often we have a vibration going that is just purely resisting whatever our desire is. It's just,
Yeah.
what is it saying? What you resist persists or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we get into that head frame, we're pushing it away. We're pushing it away.
100%.
And so you have to, like you did, you have to change that energy somehow. And so I just come up with these little practices, and I say, listen, all I have to do is practice positivity. So that's a specific practice for a time. What I have found on the path is it's very instrumental, at least for me, to when I wake up, as everyone knows, I do I video my morning practice. So I think to get that positive energy going and to lift your overall vibe, you've got to be more consistent. You can't just do it at that moment. But what I have found,
you can't just put it in practice when you're having a bad time or a rough time or a negative time. It has to be something that you do every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's at least what I found. But what I did do, and what I think was really instrumental for me and maybe for a lot of others on the path, is I took, we all know these great words people say, like, be the change you wish to see, or whatever it is. So what I sort of did was just gave it a time limit. I said, if I practice for 1 minute every day, that's enough. I'm going to congratulate myself. I'm going to feel proud of myself that I am actually practicing to change my vibe, because like you and I both know, it's not happening overnight. You're not going from, I like to say, you don't go from pissed to blissed overnight. There's a lot of those steps between, but what is it? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You just got to start taking those single steps. And I think you have been instrumental at helping so many people, me included, especially, at helping people take those steps. Because I think when you do take those first baby steps, you take, when you learn vibration, you understand the value of momentum. You start taking a baby step, you're going to take, the odds are you'll take another baby step and another one, and you'll continue moving in the direction of creating a life of your choosing, is what I say. So thank you for that. Anyway, I'm talking, you. I'm just blabbering on.
No, it's so good. It's so good. And I think so many people, especially right now, even before this time that we're having as a collective, I think even before that, one of the biggest obstacles is being afraid to take that next step, feeling not worthy, or somebody presented something to me yesterday, and immediately my subconscious voice went, ugh,
yeah.
And
your subconscious can do that, can't you?
Oh yeah, she's kind of cranky like that. I was going to use another word, but
there you go.
Since we're live here, I'm going to keep it clean. And if we were in person, I would have said something different. But I will say,
I understand.
I will say that as soon as this very good friend of mine who knows me inside and out said to me that it's time for you to up level again, that voice got uncomfortable. That voice was like, do you really think Are you really worth it? Or do you really think that?
Oh,
And immediately, instead of allowing it to continue, I said, what would Michael do? Not
really?
what would Jesus do? What would Michael do?
Oh, Jesus, right. Do
What
something
is
a
it?
whole lot better.
What would Michael do? Yeah. WWMD.
Thank you.
What
It's
would Michael do? And I put on a song on my little Google speaker I have here in my office that might turn on if I say it too loud. And I started dancing around my office.
change the energy. Yeah.
Yes. So immediately to a goofy 80s song, Walking on Sunshine, that my son just found. And he was like, isn't this incredible for lifting your mood? I'm like, yeah, known about that song since high school. And literally just started jumping around like I was
Okay.
walking on sunshine.
It's awesome.
And I heard my subconscious say, your mother always used to say, you blow sunshine out your ass.
Ah, okay.
And I was like, well, that's kind of cool.
Sunshine's coming from all over you, right?
Because I was always happy as a
Right,
kid, dancing around, always in a good mood, always joking around. Everything was a joke. Everything was fun.
right,
And
right.
that took me back to that childhood, like, who cares? It's time to have fun. And that's exactly what I needed to change my vibration in that moment.
And I was going to say, isn't it funny how your son had found it recently? And maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was at the top of your head doing it.
Yeah,
Because, and you said, I've known about the song since I was a kid, your age. But the funny thing is, we didn't practice it. There you practiced
correct.
it. Well,
Correct.
so often I think, kids know vibration better than any of us, right? I mean, certainly better than adults. They understand, what vibration better than anyone.
Yes.
And so you even mentioned, like, you knew it, but you didn't practice it. And that day you practiced it. And of course, it took you right back to a good feeling place.
Yes. Yes. And music has that power, maybe for some people it's scripture that has that power, or,
Absolutely.
pulling a card for yourself that's from a deck of positive cards. Doesn't matter what your thing is, but you need to have something. And that's what's so great about your videos, is that they're short. There's something that you can do every day to change that vibration. And once you have your practice, it's easy to flip that switch, right? Don't you think?
You know what? I always say it's simple, not easy. I mean,
Okay.
come on. All you have to do is practice for 1 minute a day, right? I mean, how
Mm-hmm.
hard is that? And for me, I go back and I say, oh my God, it's amazing that has done for my life, of course, with traveling and the book. And it just, took me from where I was in a dark place to here. And 1 minute a day of practicing. And so what you had just said about it made me think of, I always say it doesn't matter what the practice really is, just the fact that you practice, because your body is recognizing, and your subconscious is recognizing, that this person, you are practicing positivity every day, even if it's one day. I can't tell
Mm-hmm.
you how many times I finish my daily video in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, that was awful. That was awful.
Uh-huh.
And I do the same thing all the time. I start laughing and I say, you know what? I'm doing the best I can with the cards I've been dealt. I'm doing the
Yes.
best I can. And I think when you recognize that, you again, it's about that vibration. You're not feeling it's sort of like others have done it. I can too. It relaxes that vibration a little bit. Because when you're uptight and things are, you're feeling tense or pressure, you know what that vibration's like, and your decision making is probably not as
Oh,
smooth or as wise at that
no.
point.
No,
Right.
it's definitely, I would say, when I'm in that place as an entrepreneur, I'm not as creative. I'm more rushed with people and things that I do. I feel like there's not enough time for anything, that, and then overwhelm starts. So it's like this cascading process for me, and I notice that with a lot of people. So the trick for me is to never get to that point. So to recognize when it's going to start and then flip that switch before I fall into overwhelm, before I fall into I can't do that because of this, I can't do that because of this, and keep myself in that space of I can do anything I want to do.
Right.
Just decide.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's funny though, as you were just saying that, my thought went immediately to, but you have to be able to turn it around, because you're living life as a human, no matter how spiritual you are. So you're going to fall in a pothole, you're going to trip,
Yes.
something's going to happen. And what I have found is that these practices, excuse me, have helped me. Whereas in the past, something would trigger me and I might be in a pissy mood for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm out of it within, an hour, or certainly 24 hours, depending on the thing. And I think that's so important because, because the vibration we send out, we get back. The universe just keeps sending us more. So, we get stuck in that. Of course we do. We get stuck in that vibration. Like, it's so easy today, in today's environment of the coronavirus, quarantining and social distancing. It's so easy to let your vibration go south. To go right into a rabbit hole. All you have to do is, all you have to do is have the news on 24 hours a day, and it'll drive you crazy, right? It'll take you. You'll be seeing fear, and fear, instead of sunshine coming out all over your body parts, fear will be coming out. You'll be emitting fear, a vibration. And I think it takes practice. And what I say is just 1 minute of, I can overcome my fear, or what would I do? My wife for a long time had a little chalkboard up in her house, and we would change the sayings, but one saying seemed to be on there for a very long time, and it was, what would you do if you had no fear? And I think seeing that every day sort of helped me to overcome my fear of whatever those fears I had in progressing along the path that I wanted to create. Right?
Yeah.
What would you do if you had no fear? Because it makes you realize, all right, that's what I would do. As a client once said to me, though, but I have the fear. And
well, I would challenge everybody to say, yes, you're still going to have fears.
Right.
It's just about becoming that courageous version of yourself, right? So this is something I recently read, and I can't remember who it was from, but I've been reading all this Stoic philosophy from, like ancient wisdom, Aristotle, Socrates, all those guys, right?
I love those guys.
And one of the things they say about courage is that courage isn't the absence of fear, but it's having the fear and moving forward anyway because you love something so much. And that made me feel like a mama bear,
right?
Protecting her business, protecting her son, protecting her husband.
Right.
So stepping up to any fear that I might come up as. I'm still not jumping out of a plane. Forget it. It's not happening. But
so your husband and kid are going down on that one. But okay.
Well, you know what? They might jump out.
They'll jump out, Well, sometimes, you know what? You have to figure out what you do best and what your partners in this life do best, right? Like I always say to my wife, if we were on Amazing Race, I don't know if you ever saw watched that show.
Yes.
One partner's doing something crazy or different. So I'll say, I think you would have to choose. You would have to be the one we choose for this one, or I would be the one we choose for this one. You know what I mean? We all do our things that are best.
Yeah. But it's, I think that courage factor, right? Knowing I have a fear and knowing I have a limiting belief and being willing to step up to it and say, here I am. Hi, fear.
Hi, fear.
Yeah.
Hi, fear. I like that. Hi, fear.
How are you today? Fear. Good morning.
You know what? That's so great. That is so, so great. I'm a big believer in inviting those negative emotions in. And as a matter of
Yeah.
fact, I talk about something in the book where at one time we had cut short this trip to Ecuador. And because I was supposed to be, although I think it was all a tease, as my wife said, and she may have used more colorful language than that as well. But that I was going to be on a panel discussion with like Deepak Chopra and John Kabat-Zinn, and it didn't come to fruition. And I talk about how I invited not fear, it wasn't fear, foolishness, how foolish I felt for even believing it. I invited them in, foolishness and disappointment in for the day. When we were in Ecuador, actually. So it was, when you say hi, fear, you know, I think again, it's all about changing that vibration. You say hi, fear, as opposed to, you know,
Yeah.
resisting the fear, you're going to come off, your vibration is going to change and lead you more into that courageous setting, I think.
I think so. I mean, I've seen it work for me 100 times.
It's crazy. And
so
and every time it works, don't you like, I can't believe it really works.
I know. So I had a little manifestation thing that worked this week, which I wasn't even aware of. I wasn't aware I was doing it, but I had such a positive vibration around helping someone else do something that they had dreamed of doing. And so this client of mine had dreamt, really had this goal of writing for this national magazine. Natural Awakenings. You know, Natural Awakenings has local editions, but then their national magazine supplies the cover photo and the cover articles, and then the local editions customize the edition for the local market, local advertisers, local events, that kind of stuff. So across the country, I think there's 350, 450 editions of Natural Awakenings. And I said to my client, she was going to focus on her local edition. I want to get in there. And I said, well, you're going to pay for that. So let's focus on getting you in the national edition and having them do a feature on your company. You'll be on the cover, blah, blah, blah. And it would go out across the country, and you don't have to pay for that.
Okay. I like that a lot better.
She was like, ooh, I love that idea. How do I do that? So we went through that. How do you do that process? That, you know, that's my thing, detective work. That's how you do it. So I explained it to her. And the very next morning, the person who I investigated for my client had been on my website and messaged me about getting a quote from me for an article she was writing.
How crazy.
And I walked outside and I took my shoes off and I stood in the grass with the sun coming on my face yesterday or the day before. I don't know the days of the week right now. It's yesterday, the day before, whatever. And I said, oh God, thank you for whatever that just was. But that I believe. Thank you for showing me how powerful helping someone else turned around and gave me the exact same thing.
Isn't it amazing? And
I'm speechless.
It's crazy. Other than every time you do it, it happens.
Yeah.
So we might not know how it happens, but you and I, we know it does happen. You know. Again, we just talked about it earlier. You at that point were sending out a vibration of pure helpfulness to this
right from here. Like, this is what you need to do, and it was so energetic and so, you know, similar to when I approach a client and I don't ask for money and I say, this is what I want to do for you. Let's get you to that point, and let's do this. Let's
Family.
do this together. Like locking arms with people, right? And that's another thing I'm super passionate about. And when I do that, it repays me 100 times over.
Right. Right.
All right. So
you are a fabulous wingmate, or may I even say wingman, because I really don't use gender when I think it, but anyway.
I don't know what a wing woman would do.
I use the term wingmate, I think, when I
wingmate. I like that. Right. Wingmate. And
although as I use my definition of wingman, it would certainly be any gender, because the definition I use came from Dr. Bernie Siegel, who, when I was walking with him one day, he said to me, "Mike, do you know what a wingman is?" And I'm like, "Bernie, yeah, I know what a wingman is. It's all over my website, man." And he sort of just ignored me and just kept talking. And he said, "A wingman is an angel in heaven who only has one wing and grasps onto another so they both may fly." And that's what I did.
Oh,
exactly. I was like, "Whoa, Bernie!"
Bernie!
Didn't expect that one. But I understood it very clear. It was very clear, and so that's why I mean it's not gender related, of course.
Wow, that's really beautiful and so high vibe. So everything we've just talked about.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time and for this.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
If you could leave everyone that's watching who has never practiced anything like this before, what would you say? What would your advice be to get them started? What would be the number one practice to get them started?
Well, the practice I always fall back on when I have no other practice, and I have 25 practices coming through my head, and I'm like, all right, just stop. And if I get too confused, I just say, just go back to the basic, which is saying thank you. As Meister Eckhart said, the 13th century theologian, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, it would be enough. And when I say that, let me make sure I'm very clear with that. Find something to be thankful for. All right. If you're asking me for one thing, I'd say find something to be thankful for, because it will lead you to something else, to something else, to something else. It's like one time I was working with a client and she said, "Michael, what do I have to be thankful for? I'm hanging on by a thread." And I said, "Then you better be thankful for the thread and start loving that thread, because what I have found is the more I start the more love I give it, the more love I get. The more I find to be thankful for, the more I get to be thankful for." And I think it just is a momentum game. And so I want you to just practice.
Well, now I want to do the thank you for momentum game that I learned when I was in school for positive psychology.
Okay.
With you. Are you up for it?
Let's do it. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Show me how to do it.
All right. So what we're going to do is for 1 minute, which I'm taking from your practices. I think
Perfect.
When positive psychology says to do this for 3 minutes with a partner, but for time's sake here on Facebook, we'll do it for 1 minute. And I'm going to say something I'm thankful for. And then you're going to say yes and something you're thankful for. And we're just going to go back and forth for 1 minute.
Okay.
All right. I am thankful for my sunny outlook and positive disposition.
And I am thankful for my granddaughter, who, I just saw a video, even during this crazy time period where we can't go see her in person. She just brings me such joy.
Oh, yes. And I am super thankful for my son that came to me in an untraditional way. He's adopted. And I never think about it because he's so much like me. He looks like me. He acts like me. He is literally just, I can't even begin to describe.
I can imagine. And I'm thankful for, I just had a book published, right? I just had a book published. I am so thankful for that.
That is amazing. Wow. Yes. I I have to say I'm thankful for your book being published because I know it was waiting to be birthed for a long time.
It
And
really has been.
yes, amazing. And I'm thankful for this woman, Karen, who she might end up watching this, years ago convinced me to go on the first date with my husband and
Ah,
then found me my house in her neighborhood. So thank you,
wow.
Karen,
She,
for changing the trajectory of my life.
you are totally thankful for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for my 1 minute practices that I found such a simple path to enable me and so many other people to just bring more positive energy and raise their vibration and create a life of our choosings. It's just crazy. It's very thankful for that.
And I will say yes. And thank you for showing it to me and making me realize that I can change that vibration so quickly. So quickly.
Yeah. It's amazing when you
It's
realize that,
amazing.
right? Yeah.
It's amazing to feel it happen so quickly, to feel that energy in your body change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
thank
a
you.
great feeling. Thank you.
All right. Well, tell everybody how to get in touch with you, your Facebook group.
My Facebook group is the Wingman's Path to Positivity. You can look at my website, which is thewingmanspath.com, or well, either one of those two, on Facebook or wingmanspath.com, or you can get the book wherever you buy books on Amazon, or you can find it on Amazon. It's the Wingman's Path to Positivity. It's people are telling me it's just such a wonderful book for this current time period too. I thank you, Suzanne. I thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're so welcome. And for all of my followers and anybody watching this, I'm going to put the link to Michael's book and his group wherever I share this video, and he'll do the same. So you can click there, follow him, like him. He's made a huge difference in my life, and I love sharing my resources with people. So get on the Wingman's Path to Positivity, and maybe you
Thank you
can
so
have
much.
some sunshine blowing out parts of your body.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Good morning, sunshine, we'll just
Good
say. We'll leave it
morning,
at that.
sunshine. Thank you.
Enjoy. Thank you so much.